Appreciate that, man. Perfect timing. Appreciate you so much. Big supporter. Hashtag Mod Squad. Actually, let's go ahead and get started. We're like 8 minutes in. I'm going to have to edit this when I'm done. I mean, 8-minute intros. Let's go ahead and turn down the music a little bit. The homie Big Lou, appreciate you, dog. Let's go ahead and get this thing going. Man, we've been doing these intros, man. It's all good. Appreciate you guys. I got love for the SMT Nation. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and get the show started. And we'll do that now. What is up, my good people? Camera on. Let me know that I'm in focus. Let me know that my audio is still solid. Hopefully it is. Hey, my brother Tito's here. Delon, what is up? Ooh, a custom case for the SMT Nation. Yeah, and then we could sell it as merch here on the channel. That would work. Absolutely. Maybe we could start with some iPhone cases, man. Let's talk business. Let's talk business. Hit me up in the email, sneedmobiletech@gmail.com. Thanks, man. We're doing the hot green tea today. I heard if you burn sage, it keeps the haters away. On some Kyrie Irving type stuff, you feel me? Oh, that is good stuff, man. Very, very good stuff. Stay on the healthy tip. All right, so the date is March 10th, 2021. This is a podcast that is dedicated to the Verizon Investor event from today. All carriers will be represented in this investor scheduled events. We've got one from Verizon, which happened today. We've got one happening with AT&T. And we got one happening with T-Mobile, and I think they're happening in that sequence, in that order. So the next event, we'll get news from AT&T and then T-Mobile. And, hey, you know, this is big-time stuff. Well, with the information we get today is not only relevant to Verizon and the Verizon customers, but I think it's relevant to investors. I think it's relevant to customers of other networks. Anybody who's a wireless consumer, you want to be in the know. All right, because the thing about the wireless landscape is these companies compete fiercely in every aspect of the business. So that's wireless performance with mobility. Home internet is now a real legit thing. We've got fiber build-outs from these companies as well, like AT&T and Verizon specifically, like Verizon with Fios, AT&T with their dedicated fiber business, home and business. There's a lot, you know, like there's so many different tentacles to the business. This is really interesting. So the business aspect piques my interest, but also the wireless, just being a network tech enthusiast. I like to know where the companies are going and where their services and their networks are going. There is so much stuff, guys. I'm going to try to squeeze this into an hour because not only do I want to go through all the actual factuals, but I want to do a little bit of analysis too. I want to take the information, synthesize it, break it down a little bit, and then kind of give some projections as to where I think it's going. The one thing I've been able to do by following these stories from the beginning of time, meaning when I first started covering the networks on my channel 4 years ago, the goal was not just to cover them day to day, it was to cover them holistically, see where they've been, see where they are, and see where they're going. I really do my best to offer that type of insight. Gene, good to see you, man. And Gene, welcome back to the Patreon. The thing about the future is we don't always know. You know, some of that is just basically conjecture. But I'll tell you what I've been able to do over the past couple of years is I've been able to pretty much spot on predict a lot of things that I think would happen, and a lot of them have come to fruition. I have not been right about everything. In fact, I haven't really been right about most things. Like, it's really hard to be spot on with predictions, but I have gotten some things right, and nothing special. I called it the way I saw it. You know, I looked at the way that things were kind of setting up and what was the most likely outcome. Like I said, I've been wrong about certain things in my predictions, and I've admitted when I've been wrong, but I've also been right about certain things. And one of the companies I've been right about a lot has been Verizon. I feel like I've had a pretty good pulse about the company that they are and who they become and what direction they're going. You know when Verizon's telling you the truth. You know when they're hiding certain things and playing coy, right? Things are pretty apparent. You can say a lot of things, but this is something I stick to. Don't listen to what carriers say. Always just watch what they do. And with the C-band auction, that is 100% confirmed. You didn't have to listen to what Verizon was saying. If you were listening to what Verizon was saying we don't need C-band. We like our spectrum position, which is totally false. Their spectrum position was tough, or is tough. I mean, they have the spectrum now. They can't deploy it yet, but they needed a lot of C-band, and what they want to do in the future. Now we know it has been confirmed. A lot of us have speculated that Verizon wanted to do home internet large scale, and that is confirmed. And we knew that Verizon wanted to increase their capacity and mobility. That is confirmed. And we know they want to do stuff in MEC. We know they want to do stuff in enterprise. All that has been confirmed. And this is all part of it. The investor meeting today gave us tons of insight. We don't know every little detail. We know like 90% of what we need to know. I'm going to give you guys everything. I'm going to tell you everything that was mentioned in the investor meeting, all the questions that were asked by the studs, whom I call the studs. Walt Pychek from Lightshed Reading. Sasha Segan has some coverage on it. These guys are in the know, and they ask the right questions. They're network guys, too. So give them a follow on Twitter, as well as myself if you want to follow me on Twitter. I've got a link to my Twitter in the description box below. You guys can check that out. We have fun on Twitter. It's a nice little community interaction. If you would like more coverage on the channel, similar network testing, live streams, podcasts, I have a link to the Patreon as well, so you guys can check that out. Anyways, let's go ahead and get this thing started. I'm going to tell you guys the highlights from the investor meeting. But I want to thank Mark quickly. Thanks for that super chat, Mark. Appreciate it. You're always so generous and kind. Appreciate that super chat, man. I know the haters hate to see super chats, so thank you for that, man. I appreciate the support, and you've always been so kind and generous here on the channel. Thank you. All right, so let's do this. Verizon Investor Day. Today, March 10th, 2021. I think it was at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Kind of a late, launch to the event, but nonetheless, the first thing we learned was a dedication and commitment to the C-band build. No surprises there. They spent $50 billion on C-band spectrum when you include the clearing costs from satellite operators. Now, what they're going to do, and this was one of the more important things that we had to learn, was that Verizon is actually going to dedicate a piece of their CapEx or capital investment. They're going to dedicate it to the C-band build. So Verizon is going to upgrade their network annually, reinvest into it, modernizations, enhancements. So they're going to spend about $18.5 billion annually on their network, but they're going to take it one step further, and they're going to commit $10 billion over 3 years just for C-band. That's $3.3 billion annually for the next 3 years. So that gives you an idea of the scale and the speed of how they're going to deploy C-band. All right, Gene, thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate it, man. Gene, you're always so kind too, man. I know you're a member on the Patreon, and you've always been generous with the donations, and I know, you've always been so supportive of us here on the SMT YouTube channel. So thank you, Gene. I appreciate that super chat. No statement, no questions, no nothing. He just wanted to donate, so thank you for that, and we appreciate you, man. And if you guys want to look into another creator who has live streams and does a lot of community interactions, Gene G Jr. right there in the live. Mods, if you guys could put a link to his channel, please go ahead and do that. All right, so the C-band spending, we're going to see over $3 billion annual for the next 3 years. Moose, thanks for that super chat, man. He said, I am very concerned with Verizon. Maybe we could talk about that this Friday, man, on the podcast. We'll have you on. The goal for C-band is interesting. Let's talk about the scale. So Verizon just spent $50 billion in clearing costs and the spectrum, and then they're going to spend $10 billion over 3 years dedicated to build it. Blaze, thank you for that, man. I appreciate the super chat, bro. $4.99 super chat from Blaze, CBRS King. You know I love CBRS, man. But C-band's going to be even better. I'm going to explain to you why C-band is even better than CBRS. All right. Hey, thanks, Nerdiest Podcast. Appreciate you, Tito. Thanks for that link for Gene. Now, listen to these numbers. This is going to describe the scale This is going to describe the scale and the pace of the build. Verizon wants to have 100 million POPs. POP stands for points of presence. Okay, so that means the area or the range in which this connection will be available to people. Okay, so a point of presence. 100 million POPs within the first 12 months of C-band going live. It's going live this December. So that means between December of 2021, December of 2022, 100 million POPs. The next number they gave was by 2024. So we're talking about a few years of build, right? 250 million POPs. So it's going to almost triple in scale within 3 years. The A block spectrum is going to be pretty easy to do. They're going to do that basically instantly. That'll be done in the first year. Once it's available in December, that'll get started. They could start deploying it. So life should be good in respect to that. Moose said, I'm very glad they are deploying immediately, but thanks for that super chat. They did say that, with this deploying at the end of 2021, it's going to be rapidly deployed throughout 2022. If you have a C-band phone and you are in a top 50 market, you're going to get these upgrades pretty much instantly. So by 2023, they'll have the B and C blocks available. I think for Verizon, I don't think they have any C blocks. I think they stuck to A and B. So you'll be getting, those B upgrades, the sub blocks in block B. That's really what Verizon was focused on. David, thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate you. Printed them tendies today. More to come. Much love, man. Nice. And then Moose, T-Mobile Home Internet has more subscribers now that Verizon will have 2025. Huge red flag. Yeah, we're actually going to talk about those numbers, and I'll explain why. I think we have to kind of wait and see how that plays out. And I think they're going to compete fiercely for that home internet business. My homie BG Grizzly, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Barry. Okay, Carlos with the $10 super chat. So David, Moose, thank you guys for those super chats. Carlos, thank you for yours. C-band panels on 7 tower sites in Vegas already. 8 more millimeter wave nodes today. I trust Verizon to be the first LTE network to 1 gigabit per second alone. They've got a lot of capacity ongoing. That's definitely true. Let me go ahead and get to some of these details real quick. The thing about the build. All right, so what I want to do is, because T-Mobile actually just did their first year of mid-band upgrades. If you think about it, they got the merger cleared in April. It's now like mid-March. So they're almost at a year. All right, so we'll call it almost a year. T-Mobile has been doing a great job of building out N41. Absolutely tremendous. I don't think anybody can argue that they are doing their absolute best to deploy as much N41 as possible. I think it's commendable. I'm actually impressed with how fast they're doing it. They've got at least 100 million POPs. They've been able to do that in like 11 months, basically, right? 10 or 11 months. They did it during a pandemic. Everybody was home. Not many people were out. That may have made it a little bit easier to their advantage, right? It's good they took advantage of it. That's excellent. Alexis, good to see you. I think Verizon can do the same thing. Expect Verizon to hit that 100 million POPs in the first year. And I would expect them to probably approach another 100 million POPs in year number 2. Probably. I don't see why not. I mean, they've got deep pockets. They've committed and allocated dollars for it. $10 billion for C-band over 3 years. So basically $3.3 billion specifically for them to do the C-band. Mind you, millimeter wave is not done. The millimeter wave ultra-wideband, the target goal by the end of the year, we got some insight on this. They want to be at 5% of their network traffic on ultra-wideband. Now, honestly, it's going to be hard to do that. Ultra-wideband is an incredible, transcendental technology. It's absolutely incredible. The problem is it needs time. Like, there's so many nodes that need to go up, being that typically they want to put like a node every block or two, right? So it just takes time. It's not that it's that expensive. it looks like Verizon's got the spending on each of these nodes down to about $17,000. It actually can be cheaper than mid-band based on the spectrum auction cost. It's going to take time, So when you have to, for example, have you guys ever made cake? You make one big cake. It's, one big cake. But if you're going to be making cupcakes, it takes more time. You got to decorate each cupcake, maybe that works. I don't know. I was trying to use the cake. I saw Nikki. I thought about the cakes and all that. But yeah, the ultra wideband is time consuming. It's got a lot of sites. It needs a tight tower grid, and it needs a lot of nodes. So it's just going to take time. But they're committed to the ultra wideband based on what they wanted to do. There's reasons for that. The ultra wideband is going to offload capacity, right? It's going to help keep those mid-band channels clear and clean, keep them from being congested. It's going to allow them to create home internet connections of gigabit plus speeds if the mid-band isn't there or they want to keep the mid-band free. And actually, that's something I wanted to talk to is they want to have 50% of their urban network traffic on ultra wideband, so they're committed to it. Obviously, they just want to keep on building and building and building the ultra wideband. They're going to put them on rooftop sites. They're going to put them on small cells. They're going to have them on light poles, traffic lights, the whole shebang. They're not stopping any of that. All right, it's everywhere. I can literally drive around the CLE, in certain parts of the town, and just every street is connected to a node, and it's 3 gigs per second. So, they're going to be using these pivots and these echoes to get the connections in people's homes. They're going to sell it as a premium home internet option, which is great. Yeah, and they said that people have devices. They said, I think they had a certain percentage of people that had ultra-wideband devices. That'll continue to increase. I think they were at like 10% or something like that. I'll talk more about that later. They also mentioned the business focus, and the business focus appears to be upsell. They want to get more and more people on their premium unlimited plans. I had no idea how many people on Verizon are still not on unlimited plans. So let me give you guys some numbers. This is incredible. The number of people that are still on data buckets and tiered plans, it's just unfathomable. I can't believe how many people it is. Verizon's going to try to move them and upsell them onto these unlimited plans. Hans Vestberg, CEO, also spoke to the edge computing. He talked about MEC. They estimate that business segment, they'll be generating about $10 billion annually by 2025. So, Moose, if you're out there, you are the homie, my brother from another mother. 10 billion by 2025 sounds decent, man. I got more numbers for you guys. This is going to be good. All right, we got more stuff here. All right, this is where things get interesting. Notice I haven't really given any detail to Verizon's home internet. It's a big thing of what they're going to do, guys. The home internet providers, the home internet providers that have been treating their customers like crap, the home internet providers that are not competitive and expensive, and the home internet providers who have not upgraded their infrastructure and performed poorly with their service, they are going to have pressure. What I mean by that is you have new players in wireless home access. T-Mobile wants to be a legit player in fixed home wireless. Verizon wants to be a big player. You have Starlink. There are people that will switch to these providers to get away from Spectrum, garbage, trash can, residue, Cox. Right? They want to get away from. Some people want to get away from AT&T. You never know. People have different experiences. There are people that are going to have their wireless provider as their home internet provider. This is going to be a thing, and all of this proves it. Verizon Wireless fixed home wireless access will leverage the C-band spectrum. So here's what we know. Verizon has, on average, 160 megahertz of spectrum in the C-band channel. So N77, all right, N78. Year one, Verizon wants to be at 100 million C-band pops. That will immediately hit their top 25 markets. They spent $53 billion on this stuff. They've got a range between 140 and 200 megahertz. Those are massive channel sizes. All right, that is deep spectrum. They want to have 15 million customers on their fixed home wireless by 2022. So the conversation we're having a year from now, a year and a half from now, we're going to be seeing Verizon with an estimated 15 million home wireless subscribers. By year 2, they want to be at 175 million pops of C-band. They want to double their home wireless subscriber count. They want to be at 30 million fixed home wireless subscribers. All right, so they want to double in scale within 2 years. In 2024, they want to be completely nationwide in C-band with 250 million pops and 50 million or more fixed home wireless connections. So if you think about how they're building out the C-band and what their plan is, what they're trying to do is they're going to dedicate money specifically to build out the C-band over 3 years, $10 billion over 3 years, where they can also dedicate a separate CapEx for the rest of the business, $18+ billion. And they did say, this is confirmed, he said we're going to be around $18 billion through 2023. So that's 2021, 2022, and 2023. Throw in the additional $10 billion. So let's do the math. Let's call it $20 billion a year, because they said like 18, around what they're doing now, which is $18.5 billion. Let's call it $20 billion. That's 60. Plus the 10 for C-band, that's $70 billion. Verizon is going to be spending $70 billion in 3 years. $70 billion. T-Mobile is going to spend $60 billion in 5. Verizon will spend more than T-Mobile in 3 years than what T-Mobile is going to do in in 5 years. So they're basically going to be spending exponentially more to do more with their network. Because here's the thing, and this is what a lot of people keep forgetting. As fast as T-Mobile is building out the N41, they just don't have the willingness to go into debt that Verizon does. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not putting T-Mobile down. Actually, on the contrary, I actually much more respect T-Mobile for staying in their lane. They're not willing to go into debt too far. Like, every company has debt. They spend money that they don't have. They know they're going to make it and generate it in revenue, so they're not too worried about it. But Verizon is literally taking debt and they're throwing it out the window. They're like, we don't care. Meanwhile, T-Mobile is usually a little bit more careful about their spending. Up until the merger, they didn't have that much debt because they didn't really go beyond their means. You know, it's like going shopping every day for clothes and all you have is credit cards. You don't have any money. You don't have any cash. You don't have any assets. You're just piling up debt. You get what I'm saying? You don't have money. You don't spend money you don't have. You know what I mean? So the point is that I respect T-Mobile for being more careful with the money and not going into debt. It's very respectable and commendable. Verizon is kind of throwing caution to the wind. Hey, there's only 3 of us here. There's only 3 carriers. Who cares if we're in debt? We got to make money. We're going to monetize everything, right? So the point of this build, and you look at the spending, is they're going big. They're not playing around here. What we've noticed is that Verizon won an LTE because of their willingness to spend. It's why they won LTE. I don't know if LTE's done. A lot of people, they're still caught up in this whole CBRS Band 48 LTE 5G thing. Yeah, I just think Verizon's LTE network is the most reliable. I think that's how you win. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily win on speeds alone. You need capacity, but all you have to do is compete and keep your customers happy. And I think that's why Verizon's customer loyalty is so high. There's some things I do want to cover about C-band specifically because it was such a big part of this. Verizon's growth model. It looks like they want to deploy anywhere between 8 to 10,000 sites active and live with C-band in December, which is incredible. They want to just start right off the rip. I really hope I got some live C-band in the CLE. I'd love to test for you guys, so I'm super excited about that. But Verizon plans on increasing service revenue annually. They have a plan to go up a percentage every year and this, that, and the third. You guys probably want to know a little bit about C-band, so I think this is important to know. I've got a ton of things that you guys can use as information to help you understand how the spectrum works, how it propagates, what we should expect in performance, and how Verizon is going to leverage it. All right, so for starters, Verizon's spectrum range of C-band, they will have 140 to 200 megabits, to 200 megahertz of spectrum depending on the market. Notice I said depending on the market. Some will get 140, some will have 200. It depends on your market. See the FCC page for where they have these spectrum holdings. The average across the country is 160 megahertz. It just so happens that's what the CLE has. Cool. They will have 406 national markets with spectrum in the C-band. They will have 60 megahertz instantly at time of availability. So A block clearance, December 2021, they'll have it live. Oh, snap, Joshua. Thanks for the super chat, man. It's been a while. Verizon is taking the shackles off the feet. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate you, man. And thank you, Adam. I appreciate your super chat. He said, it's official. I'm switching to Verizon. Don't switch to Verizon yet. These upgrades aren't live. You always choose your carrier based on the performance in your market. It would be foolish to switch without them showing that they're worthy of your money, you know? So if you like what you got, stick with it. You can always switch at a later time. All right. End of 2021 is confirmed. Verizon will be serving 50% of the U.S. population immediately. That's pretty cool. All right. So there are going to be people, myself in the CLE, Carlos in Vegas, Apple Watts in DFW, Big Lou in New York City. Who else has Verizon in the community? I think Greg has Verizon. We're going to send out a SIM to sheep. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that have Verizon within the community that really like the service, and this is going to enhance it, make it better, and it's going to be available pretty quick. We're talking about some rural markets having 200 megahertz of spectrum. In fact, there are going to be 158 rural markets getting C-band upgrades. And to me, that just screams home internet product. And I'm not talking about like it'll just be decent. I think it's going to be really fast. I think it's going to be very fast. They're talking about getting 40 million people connected to C-band in year one. C-band, and this, hey, everybody listen up. This is important. Make sure you hear this and you don't miss this. Ding, 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 ding. Attention. C-band is going to be part of ultra wideband. That means band 77 is going to have a 5G UWB. So you remember how the ultra wideband has been millimeter wave only up till now? The DSS low band 5G has been the regular 5G. This is also going to be considered ultra wideband. Now, I proposed this on Twitter. We need a definition of what ultra wideband is. Like literally, this is important because up to this point, Verizon has been calling ultra wideband their millimeter wave N260, N261, and all that. That makes sense. It's ultra wideband. It's large channels, 100, 200, 400 megahertz of spectrum. C-band is going to be pretty wide too, right? They're going to start with 60 megahertz, and then they're going to open up the channels to 100, 160, 180, 200 megahertz. I guess it does count as ultra wideband at that point. Actually, I want to know. You can let me know in the comment section if you're watching this on replay, hashtag replay crew. Let me know if you're watching this in the live, if you agree. Type the number 1 if you think that C-band should be considered ultra wideband. type of 2 if you think it should only be for the ultra-wideband millimeter wave. 1 if you think C-band should be ultra-wideband also. 2 if you think only millimeter wave should be ultra-wideband. I'd like to get a gauge, kind of a feel of the SMT Nation, where you guys stand on that. I'll probably also do a poll on Twitter to hear what you guys have to say. So here's my thought, and I'll give you guys my impressions. If Verizon wants to distinguish the ultra-wideband and really make it unique, they should probably only call the ultra-wideband the millimeter wave if they want to make it unique. You get what I'm saying? Because it is, like, the channel depth is incredible. I mean, there are some markets where Verizon has, like, over 1,000 megahertz of millimeter wave. So, yeah, that makes total sense. But see, here's the thing, Magic. Is there a definition that says that ultra-wideband only has to be millimeter wave? If you want to set the definition that way, I understand. I agree. I actually think that millimeter wave, because the spectrum depth, that should be the ultra-wideband. But is it spectrum depth and channel depth, right, the bandwidth, how big the channel is? Or is it really about the speed? So here's what I mean. If Verizon's N77 averages over a gigabit speed, 1.1, 1.3 gigs per second, does that count as ultra-wideband? So is ultra-wideband 5G UWB, is it a speed metric or is it a channel depth metric, right? Because in my perception, I can see it as a metric of speed and I can see it as a metric of channel depth, right? I see it both ways. I understand, Adam, but the thing is this. The channel depth at 100 or 200 megahertz at midband is not ultra-wideband for millimeter wave. Those channels are 400, 800 megahertz. That's kind of what I'm saying. Hey, I understand. If you want to say channel depth, Adam, I'm with you. I support it. But speed works too. Gigabit speed, right? That's a metric. And here's the thing. Channel depth makes sense to us nerds. But that doesn't make sense to the normal average customer. Speed does. A customer might say, oh, ultra-wideband, that means gigabit speed. That means 1,000 megs. You see what I'm saying? It's easier for someone to attach a speed number to ultra-wideband than a channel depth. You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. As of right now, it looks like Verizon is going to be calling C-band ultra-wideband. So they're just going to call their DSS stuff, their low band, they're going to call that 5G, and they're going to call their C-band and their millimeter wave ultra-wideband. That looks like that's how it's going to be. I'll make a Twitter poll. You know, guys, follow me on Twitter at SneedTech, and we'll see what the community says. I might make a poll here on YouTube as well, right? Well, that's the thing, Magic. I don't know if ultra-wideband has to mean millimeter wave. I don't know if that's a definition. I haven't seen a defined term for ultra-wideband. I have not seen it. You know? Some other stuff. Obviously, Verizon actually threw some shade at T-Mobile, guys. This one's kind of funny. On 2 instances, Verizon referred to C-band as a superior midband to EBS. For those of you that don't know EBS, that is 2.5 gigahertz. That is the N41 from T-Mobile. And they said, because it is contiguous, which means there's no disruptions in the licenses in terms of the geographical availability, there's no leases needed. See, a lot of people don't know this. Nikki, you know this. I hope Nikki's still here because he'll confirm it. There are places in the U.S. where T-Mobile is going to have trouble with capacity because they don't have 2.5 gigahertz in any type of considerable amount. Or they don't have it at all. So they actually have to probably lease it from other companies that own it in those markets. Also, Verizon, besides throwing shade at T-Mobile that way, they spoke to the tower grid, and they spoke to how many tower sites are going to be getting C-band upgrades. They said that Verizon's pre-existing tower grid is sufficient as is to make the upgrades to all of their macros. They kind of confirmed that they might not want to do small cells with C-band, which is interesting. I think they will. I think the first year, though, it's going to be mostly macros. That's the impression I get, is they're going to be upgrading C-band at macros. Oh, and you might say, well, it's kind of a high frequency, right, at 3.7 gigahertz. Oh, that can't be broadcasted or transmitted from a macro site. Oh, it's too high. Oh, tish tosh. There are companies that have been deploying C-band in Europe from macro sites for the last couple of years, and some of them are getting propagation over 8 miles. We don't need them to do 8 miles. Verizon has a tower site every mile here in the CLE. So Verizon's just going to put on its macros, and it looks like it's probably going to be enough. Their tower grid, their tower density is so tight. It's so good here in the CLE, and everybody's network experiences are different. You know, how it is in Biloxi, Mississippi, and Nashville, Tennessee, and Dallas, Fort Worth, and Detroit, and the CLE. It's all different. But here, there's a Verizon tower site every mile. And I mean like a macro. Like, it's not a joke. So they're going to be upgrading every single tower site. And they're saying that the top 46 markets will have instant gigabit speeds upon deployment, like 5G ultra wideband performance, gigabit speed. So Zero Cool RF, Mr. Caleb, I would just like to say that I feel vindicated. You know, we've been talking about this for a while. We kind of said, you know, C-band was going to be gigabit speed instantaneously. We were going to have markets that got C-band upgrades are going to be gigabit, like market wide. You know, once they get these tower sites upgraded, it's gigabit speed everywhere. And they're going to monetize the crap out of this too. They're going to be offering the T-Mobile, the Verizon home internet everywhere, right? Wherever they can use it. They're going to monetize it. They paid a lot of money for this stuff. They're going to monetize it. 175 million pops by 2023. By 2024, 250 million pops, or soon after, something like that. 70% of customer handsets currently on Verizon have C-band access. 10 million have ultra-wideband handsets. The iPhone 12 models have it. So here's some questions you might need to know, some answers. The iPhone 12 models have C-band. The Galaxy S21s have C-band. The Google Pixel 5 and I think the 4A 5G, they also have C-band. And all phones sold at Verizon and unlocked moving forward will be C-band compatible. C-band will be a big part of 5G home internet. It will also be a big part of 5G business internet. By the end of 2021, 15 million homes will have Verizon home internet. By the end of 2023, 30 million will have Verizon home internet, including 4G LTE and 5G connectivity. Home internet hardware is going to expand for Verizon. Ian, big shout out to you, my dude on Twitter. He's probably going to like to hear this. They're going to have some new devices for the home internet product. They're going to have an internet gateway. They're going to have a smart display. This is pretty cool. You guys are going to like this. Well, I think it's with an update, right, Josh? Okay, so yeah, that's coming. Verizon is going to send you their home internet installation kit. You're going to do it all yourself. It's going to have AR directions. They're going to send you augmented reality installation kits to show you how to install the home internet. This is crazy. I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to order that. That's nuts. The 5G home internet. I'm talking about the gigabit speed variety. Up to 2 million homes by end of 2021. So we're talking about the ultra-wideband 5G business internet. They're going to be utilizing a suite of productivity tools, including the Blue Jeans acquisition. For those of you that know, last year, Blue Jeans was purchased by Verizon. It's basically like a Zoom or a Google Meets type service. That's an investment they made last year. So they'll be, operating that through a 5G receiver, and they got all these suites of tools and stuff like that. They spoke to the MEC, Mobile Edge Computing. They spoke to the enterprise applications a little bit. Companies can monetize and leverage Verizon's 5G to generate revenue and bring new services, tools, and productivity to their businesses. Look, we're like 47 minutes in, 48 minutes in, and I think this has to be said. Verizon has no fear. Verizon is not scared of anything. You can clearly see that they have a plan. They have a plan that they want to execute. It looks like they've got it mapped out between now and probably the next 5 years. They're pretty clear on what they want to do. It's 2021. It looks like they know what they want to do through 2025 or so. Maybe beyond that, I'm sure they do. But this is what they're willing to share. And this is what we know they're going to do. Barry, it's going to be N77. I do believe it can also be operating as N78. Some people have indicated that to me as well. But we'll be seeing N77. Yeah, and CBRS as 5G. I don't know if they're going to call that N48, but I know the LTE is band 48. But yeah, Verizon has no fear. They are clearly not worried about pretty much anything. They're not afraid of debt. They're not afraid of building out the network. They're not afraid of mobility. They're not afraid of T-Mobile. They're not afraid of AT&T. They are focused on what they want to do pretty clearly. Home, business, residential, enterprise, mech, industry. They are embracing everything. They are going to attack every single aspect of the wireless business. And that's good, right? Because if you think about it, you want as many companies in as many industries as possible to create, all this competition. Verizon getting C-band. Hey, Jess, good to see you. Verizon getting C-band is as important to Verizon as T-Mobile getting N41, right? They're, to me, they're similar capacity layers, right? They're going to be the mobility capacity. They're going to be the home internet capacity. Now, Verizon is doing more with ultra-wideband than T-Mobile is, but that's a business decision. That's different plans, different executions. But clearly, you could see it. Moose is chiming in with a super chat. He says, Verizon will show T-Mobile that 60 megahertz will be able to do gig speeds because they aren't skimping out on the backhaul. Of course, the fiber optics is important. Moose, that's a good point. 100 megahertz of band 41 can't do this now. That is true. There's some improvements that T-Mobile needs to make. But hey, T-Mobile's got a little bit of time. I feel like in having these conversations with Moose and Tyrone and Zero Cool and Carlos and Nikki, I've said we have to give T-Mobile, this opportunity to show and prove. See, the thing about T-Mobile, and you guys got to keep in mind, they're a new company now, right? They literally have just merged with Sprint. It's been a year. So this is the new T-Mobile. They're learning how to be a big company because they were never this big before. They're learning how to scale a big network. They're learning how to do a lot of the things that Verizon and AT&T have already done, right? So, and I think they've done an admirable job in upgrading the network with the N41. Yes, some of the sites aren't great. And yeah, they need to be optimized, and obviously they need to invest in fiber optic backhaul. They need upgrades there. But in my experience, they've been improving. I have to commend that. I have to celebrate that. The first T-Mobile site I tested at N41 was averaging 250 megs. The ones I'm currently testing now are 700 megs. That's promising. I think that's worth celebrating, and that deserves at least a tip of the cap, right? I think eventually they'll get to gigabit speed. The channels are going to widen. The backhaul is going to be upgraded. But yeah, that's a Verizon advantage. Verizon has its own backhaul in most cases, right? They got the fiber. They got the Fios. And they're a bigger company. They've been networking. And honestly, in my opinion, this is just me speaking from experience, I feel like Verizon installation crews are better. I feel like Verizon has the advantage. They pay more for it too, right? So kind of the growing pains of T-Mobile becoming this bigger company and trying to compete with the big dogs. And I think they're learning, hey, listen, let me tell you guys something. The best thing about T-Mobile is their willingness to compete. It's their spirit. That is the most impressive thing about T-Mobile. They're not backing down from anyone either. You know, like I was over here celebrating Verizon because of this incredible plan, and they're going to be spending a ton of money and all this. But we have to celebrate T-Mobile too. They came from nothing. T-Mobile started at the bottom. They're the product of a failed merger. AT&T gave them the foundation of who they became. John Leisure, the failed merger, $3 billion, some spectrum, a roaming agreement, and here they are after another merger. And they're competing. They got T-Vision, they got home internet, they got the N41 upgrades. They're competing. What's better than competing? A company that will fight for your business, give you an attractive price, and will treat you well in most cases. No customer care is perfect. But I'm telling you guys, T-Mobile is willing to compete for your business. They're willing to scrap for your business. They'll price match. They'll price beat. They'll give you perks. They got the Netflix. They're upgrading their network. They're competing. Give them some credit, man. Give them some credit. Give them some props. I like the underdog. I like Rudy. You know, David versus Goliath. I like those stories. All right, so Verizon is going to monetize every segment of their business. Verizon is they're going to spend $10 billion on C-band by itself in 3 years. This is just a prediction. I didn't believe this, but after watching this plan, I actually do. Moose, I think you've talked about it. Tyrone, I think you talked about it. I'm not sure, maybe. I think Verizon is going to sell Fios. You guys heard it here first. I'm on the record. I'm like 60% confident. I'm only going to go 60. I'm a little bit above 50%. I'm like 60% confident Verizon is getting out of the Fios business. Completely conjecture, 100% guess. I think Verizon is getting out of the Fios business. Let me explain why. Last week I read a story where Verizon was talking about how in New York they were losing money operating Fios. When a company says we're losing money, that's like a scream or a holler that we're not happy with this. When companies lose money, that's the opposite of what the business should be. Companies are in business to make money and make profit. Now, the thing about fiber businesses, they're generally very profitable. I'm not sure what's going on there. Appreciate you, Keon. Thanks for that super chat, man. The underdog, T-Mobile. And you know what, Keon? I don't know if they're still the underdog that much like they used to be. You know, I don't know if it's the same now because they basically just gobbled up Sprint, right? Like they have as many postpaid subscribers as AT&T now, right? Maybe more. So they're not the underdog they used to be, but they're still kind of like the new guy, right? So I still think they are the underdog, maybe not as much as before. Some people might argue, okay, they're not the underdog anymore, but to me, I think they are the underdog. But yeah, I really do think that now Verizon with this type of activity, them saying we're losing money in Fios, you know, all this investment in ultra wideband, the pivotal technology, the Echo Tech, you know, not just the ultra wideband, but now the C-band, the home internet, the business internet. It looks like they want to go completely wireless. If they get a good offer, if they make a good deal for the Fios, I think they sell. And they're all in on the wireless stuff. Seriously. Today, I feel selling Fios makes the most sense than I've ever thought. See, 2 weeks ago, I would have thought this was crazy talk. Now I kind of see it. Now it kind of makes sense. They're going to go in all this. Verizon feels like they don't need to own everything. Verizon says that, you know, we're just going to give you guys all the value. We're going to give you guys Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, I don't know, whatever plus they can give you. They've got all these different things. They've got ESPN Plus. What else? They got Hulu. They're going to give you all these perks. My goodness. They're going to give you everything. Verizon is going to upsell you, get you on a premium plan. Verizon is going to give you all this speed. They're going to have all this home internet. I think, and this is another prediction, so I said that they're going to sell Fios, right? I think Verizon is going to wholesale their network to everyone. So Mr. No Radio, Alexis, Zero Cool, Landon, those that have been riding with me for a while, Tito, I feel very strongly about this. I think Verizon is going to be the new wholesale network. They're going to have so much capacity, they're going to sell their network wholesale to a lot of MVNOs. Tons of contracts. And they're going to give them real unlimited too. And they're going to do network slicing. Like the prepaid network slice. They're going to give you 25 down by 25 up, 25 millisecond ping. 25 megabit per second tethering and hotspot data, 25 gigs of it. All right. It's going to be something crazy. They're going to make an MVNO slice. They're going to make a prepaid slice. They're going to make a home internet slice, business internet slice, MEC slice, private networking. They're going to leverage LTE assets with CBRS. They're going to do NR stuff. Bruh, I'm telling you, this is a different Verizon. I think when they made the push to buy TracFone, I think that's what they said. Exactly, Alexis. The Visible model. And I've said this before. Visible is a beta test. Visible is a data experience. They want to see what they need to do to perfect that angle of the business. Big shout out to Willie. Thanks for that super chat. He said Tech Life to stop trapping. Bro, that's the homie, though. Tyrone's my dude, bro. That's the homie. Hey, as soon as I'm done here, y'all go check out the homie Tech Life. Absolutely. All right, my good people. I covered everything. Those are all my notes. Look, you guys think I'm playing with this stuff. Let me show you guys something. You guys think I'm playing when it comes to this telecom thing. Look at this. My good people, this is one page of notes from this podcast. This is one page. That is one page. Here's page number 2 of this podcast. This is serious. When I take notes, when I do research, when I collect data, this is real. I am playing games. I'm here to give you accurate information. I'm here to give you the best I can bring to you. I'm not trying to haphazard, just slop something together. That's not what I do. I legit do my best. Legit. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with, and this is the truth. This is why I'm excited about C-Band. Let me tell you about how C-Band is going to perform. I have friends who have private messaged me, shown me screenshots of C-Band in Europe traveling over 8 and 10 miles. I have no fear about the range capability of C-Band. Also, I have been testing CBRS for the last several weeks. CBRS is 3.5 gigahertz. C-Band is 3.7 gigahertz. Their spectrum frequencies are so similar, it's almost negligible, right? The difference, okay? The difference is that CBRS is low power, C-Band is high power. So from small cells, I'm getting CBRS to work in LTE about 0.3 miles. On a macro site, CBRS LTE travels almost a mile. In rural America, I've gotten it over a mile because it was a tall site. So on like a 70 or 80 foot site, C-Band traveled about 0.8 miles. On a 150-foot site, it traveled over a mile. So that's low power. Go ahead and put that to 10 times the power. It's going to travel 4 miles if they want it to. If the tower site is high enough, if there is clearance and the terrain is flat, it will travel far. C-Band has an advantage over EBS. N41 is great. Don't get me wrong. It's probably one of my favorite connections right now. Still to this day, I think ultra-wideband is a lot cooler. It has a lot more capacity. It's more transcendental in my opinion. But I like N41 too because it works indoors and stuff like that. It's great. But the thing about C-band is C-band doesn't have the interference troubles associated with 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. C-band will not be powered down when there's interference. And C-band is also contiguous. We can't say the same thing about N41 and EBS. The 2.5 gigahertz is not perfect. Engineers will have to work around those issues. It's not impossible. I'm just saying it's flawed, right? There are people that are saying that Verizon is going to have to put a tower site every half a mile for C-band. That is absolute tish-tosh. They don't need it every half a mile. That's stupid. Verizon Engineering is talking about how they're going to put a C-band on every macro and call it a day. They might not even put it on many micro cells or small cells. It's high power. It's not CBRS. And in my opinion, when CBRS is on macros, it goes over a mile. All I'm saying is don't be surprised when you have C-band sites going over 2 miles. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. If C-band was so crappy, then why would the companies have paid so much money for it? Verizon spent $50 billion. AT&T spent $24 billion. Even T-Mobile spent over $10 billion. So anybody who says C-band isn't going to have any range, oh, tish-tosh. The only people that are saying C-band isn't going to have range are the weird T-Mobile shills. Not T-Mobile customers, like normal objective people, the ones that think that you have to put down other carriers in order to celebrate your own. I don't care about that stuff. I'm a consumer. I spend money with all the carriers. I pay my bill. This is something that I've been saying for 4 years. They don't pay me. I'm a customer. I get to say whatever I want. You know? I'm not an investor. What you guys got to know what you get from the SMT. I don't invest in Verizon. I don't own shares or stocks in AT&T or T-Mobile. I can say whatever I want. And I could be objective. I'm going to like N41 as much as I like N77. It's as simple as that. There's no pink thongs. There's no red thongs. There's no blue thongs. When the SMT is going to be objective, he's going to tell it like it is. I want them all to do well. I want you all to be happy. I want you to be satisfied with your service. That's all you could ever ask for. You pay your money to the carrier you want because they give you what satisfies you. If you don't like what you have, change carriers. If you don't like Verizon, go to AT&T. If you don't like Verizon, go to T-Mobile. If you don't like AT&T, go to T-Mobile. In fact, hey, everybody get off Verizon and go somewhere else so I can have my network back. I want that network all to myself. I'm just clowning. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you learned something about C-band and Verizon's plan moving forward. The next 2 days are going to be AT&T and T-Mobile investor days. The Verizon one was brief today. I think it was less than an hour. The AT&T one will probably be around that, maybe a little bit longer. Apparently, the T-Mobile one is scheduled for like 3 hours, so keep it tuned to the channel. We'll have a lot to talk about. It'll be, I'm sure, a long, drawn-out thing. A lot of people want to watch the summary of that and know what happened and what they talked about. But the takeaways, Verizon, it's all about home internet. It's all about high-capacity networking. C-band is going to be amazing. It's going to be great. So, yeah. John, thank you for the super chat. He said, I really like and enjoy the SMT channel. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Let's go ahead and close up the show. I want to thank you all for being here this evening. Those watching this in the live, thank you. And those of you watching this on replay, thanks for tuning in as well. If you are interested in getting more exclusive content, additional access, early access to videos, unique podcasts and live streams, basically, if you like what the channel does but want more, head over to the SMT Patreon page. Consider supporting us there and getting that additional access and getting all those perks. There's a link in the description box below. And check out some of the other links in the description box. We have the Twitter handle. We have the email if you guys want to reach out to me. All those different things are there. Hashtag Mod Squad to all my mods there with the blue wrenches and the blue names. Thank you for holding it down for me. Hashtag 2Live Crew for those of you watching this in the live stream. Appreciate you, Blaze. Hashtag Ravioli Gang for those of you eating dinner while you're watching this. You guys are the best. Thank you. And on that note, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Hope to see you soon on the next video or the next podcast. We'll catch you guys soon. Take it easy and peace. If you're still here, I know what you're waiting for. I know why you hung around. You hung around for this. Yeah!